In my last video, I covered some of the new armor sets and weapons that were dropped in the newest 10.2.7 PTR patch, and later on that day, some data mining was done and there are actually a ton more things than what I actually covered. But this video will be about all 45 of the new mounts that are in the upcoming patch, which were data mined or not. If you want to see another updated video about the rest of the armor sets and weapons I couldn't get to, the best way to let me know would be to either comment below or subscribe. So let's get to viewing those mounts. I've ordered these mounts by type, so we'll cover all the one-offs first and then move on to these sets of mounts that share the same model. So first up is the newest Season 4 Gladiator mount, which is a full transformation of the Highland Drake. Similar blue, but it has this like purple hue and it matches the armor of the other Gladiator sets. And after this, we're moving on to some mounts that come from a time-running Pandemonium event that's coming in the next patch. The first up is the Astral Emperor Serpent, which looks like the mount that comes from Algalon. There's also this August Phoenix, which is looks like it's from Chiju. After this is a Feathered Windsurfer. These are all the one-offs, and the final one-off of the set is the Shadowpan Riding Tiger. From here on, we have some set mounts. The first set mount that's coming up is the pterodax, so there's 4 of these. First one is the amber one. The second one is a different color. It's the jade one, which is green, so basically instead of yellow, it's green. This is the jade pterodax. There's a red one called the Bloody Sky Screamer, and then finally we're ending with the one that I think is my favorite, which is the Night Terror Wing, which is like this purple and green version. After the Terror Wings or the pterodaxes are the yaks. There's the Black Riding Yak, which is just a black yak, of course. After this is the Kapha Yak, which is kind of this like tan and dark brownish purple color. And finally, we have the Modest Expedition Yak, which is obviously a take on the Grand Expedition Yak, so a little bit of a joke here because there's no vendors on this mount, but otherwise it looks the same. After the yaks are the Juggernauts, which are these mechanical scorpions, so this is a blue version of the red and black one you normally get from Garrosh, and this one is a green version, so these probably come from doing the time-running raid. After this is a set of Wind Steeds. Wind Steeds are basically similar to Talbucks. There was that red one you saw. Afterwards, there's the Daystorm one, which is yellow, and then there's the Forest one, which is green. So that's all of the Wind Steeds, and now we're moving on to cranes. There's a ton of cranes. I think there's 7 of them. So the Gilded one is kind of yellow and white. After the Gilded one, we have the Jungle Riding Crane, which has a green armor, but it's kind of reddish brown. The Luxurious Riding Crane is green armor, but with a purple bluish hue to the feathers. Tropical is almost all green with a little bit of purple on the accent. After Tropical, we have the Rose Riding Crane, which is a pink and white one with a kind of greenish blue armor set on top of it. Then we have the Silver Riding Crane, which is actually more like white and blue rather than silver, in my opinion. The Pale Riding Crane looks pretty similar to the Rose Riding Crane, I think it was. Similar color, just more pink and more purple on the armor. After that, we have these 3 discuses, starting with the Mogu Haze Blazer, the Sky Surfer, which is silver, the Mogu one was bronze, which means finally we're ending with the gold one in the Golden Discus. Now, you probably won't see the actual discs of these mounts so much as the kind of nimbus cloud below it. Afterwards, we have the Quillin mounts. There's 2 of these. There's the Guardian Quillin, which has kind of like a jade stone, and the second Quillin we have is the Marble Quillin, which of course, because it's marble, means that its main color is going to be white. After the Quillins, we're moving on to the goats. There's 2 different goats. There's the Little Red Riding Goat, obviously a take on Little Red Riding Hood, and after that is the Snowy Riding Goat, which is a white goat. Of course, it looks snowy. The final set of time-running Pandemonium mounts are going to be the Mushan Beast. First, we start with this one that's kind of like greenish-white, the Pale Hide one, and afterwards is a more colorful one called the River Walker. This one is blue rather than the whitish green. Now we're moving on to some trading post mounts. Up first are the Goblin Surfboards. There are actually 2 different of these Goblin Surfboards, and you'll probably ride on them similar to how you ride on the Discus mounts or any disc mount that's in the game at the moment. I like the first surfboard better than the one we're looking at here. There are also 4 Old God Fish mounts, as they're called in the file. This one I'm going to call the blue one. You'll see why. There's a purple one later. This is the blue one. Afterwards, we're going to be looking at the green one. I love the eye that's in the center of the forehead. It looks very Dark Moon Fair. After the green Old God Fish mount, we have this one I would consider the purple one. This one is purple and it has kind of like these green fins, which I think is really neat. And then the last one is a red one. I think the red one's also pretty cool as well, with the red scales, red skin, and then the purple fins. Overall, I probably like the green one or the purple one the best. Now we have 3 Horde cat mounts, which I think is pretty interesting. So the first time that Horde has been able to use Night Sabers natively and with Horde armor on them. So I think it's pretty neat that they're doing this. In this one, this white one is the 3rd one of the set. And after that, we actually have 3 Alliance Wolves, which I think is pretty interesting. So these are going to be covered in Night Elven armor. So just like those Horde Cats were in Orcish armor, we have these Alliance Wolves in Night Elf armor. So there's 3 of these as well. I don't think they look as cool, but it's really cool that finally they're making Alliance Wolves and Horde Cats, Horde Night Sabers basically. So that's all 45 new mounts, both in-game and data mined, that are coming sometime during patch 10.2.7. Let me know which one was your favorite of the bunch. Thanks for watching, and take care.